Biohazard.
Okay, welcome to the run. So this is
American Midwestern town.
Resident Evil or Biohazard Veronica. One of my favourites in the season, definitely my favourite in the season, especially of the classic games. So we're going to make a start here, and we're going to open up this file, and this is going to add the playing manual to our file list. So we're also going to try to go for 100% files as well. The reason for that is, well, I don't even know. I think the original guide that I followed, the rocket launcher guide that I followed back on the Dreamcast many moons ago, actually said you had to collect all the files in order to unlock the rocket launcher, which turns out that is not true. But I didn't know that at the time, so a rocket launcher run always became synonymous with an all 100% files run for me. So, which is what I continue to do to this day. So we're going to come through here. All of these zombies respawn, so no point killing any of those. On a very wider story base. Oh, you want to come back to this zombie because pick up these handgun bullets now because there will be a zombie on him, munching on him shortly. So you want to get those now. In that very brief cutscene we skipped there, we just met Steve for the first time. Who is a fellow prisoner on the island. You have been released by your jailer Rodrigo, because the island has been attacked, so all is lost. So he's decided to let you go. It's very nice of him. So when you come into this room on the immediate right, there is a zombie here. Decided to knife him just because it's the very start of the game. So no real hurt to do so. I think generally, if the run all goes well, we'll end up with probably 200 or so spare handgun bullets by the end of the game. But can never have too many handgun bullets. So you want to come around here and pick up this guy's ammo first, because the zombies in this room will wake up after you pick this up. The ammo in this window. This zombie will then come through the window and it will drop those special long magazine handguns, called it MLP something. So one of the requirements of the game is that you cannot, of the rocket launcher run, is that you cannot use any what are known as percentage weapons, because they have their ammo is based off a percentage. When you pick them up, they have 100% ammo, and then as you use them, they will slowly drop, and then once they get to zero, then that's it. You just dispose of them. So there's about 4, I think, different ones in the whole game. So there's those magic handguns there. There's an AK-47 you get over in Antarctica. There's the M11s submachine guns, which you pick up as Chris. Maybe it's just those 3 of them. Anyway, so you're not allowed to use them in the room. You can see that I have the infinite rocket launcher in my inventory. Once you've done this once, every new game you have it in there by default. Some of the other games you typically would have to load a magic clear save in order to get this, but in Veronica, when you start a brand new vanilla game, you will get the rocket launcher in your inventory if you've ever completed a rocket launcher run. But using the rocket launcher also invalidates the S rank, so we're not going to use it. There is a storage. There's a security box here, and then what we're going to do is going to put the rocket launcher in it and not touch it again. So the gimmick for this part of the stage is that there is a metal detector here, and you cannot take anything metal through it. Now the key item we need to get out of this part of the stage is this gold metal medallion. So obviously we pick it up right now, but of course you can't carry it through because the metal detector, it will put the security shutter down. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip this switch here, and what that will do is that will unlock the shutter next door. And then inside the shutter is the fire extinguisher, and then the fire extinguisher will take that back towards the start of the level, we'll put out the fire, and that will give us access to the briefcase. And inside the briefcase is a special material, which we will then use on this 3D printing machine here to make a copy of the key item in special non-metal material. So we're just going to load up the 3D printer here. There's a first aid spray on the side there, but one of the requirements of the run is no first aid sprays. Yeah, so if you use any first aid sprays, that will invalidate your run and you can't get the top rank. Not really a problem because this game gives you absolutely piles and piles of herbs, so not an issue. So I'm going to leave the other stuff in there, the rest of my stuff in there, because we're going to come back through here in a second. So that switch now unlocks this shutter. So with the well-timed shot, you can hit both of those zombies. A little bit more. And now we have the fire extinguisher. So now the goal is to try and squeeze past these two zombies without getting bitten. As you can tell, you're bitten by both the zombies, so it's unfortunate. Never mind. Anyway, so when you come over here to this guillotine and pick up this key, you'll notice there is a door back there with a blue plate on it. That is one of the key doors that we need to unlock to get out of this section of the game. The dogs will come here for the first time, so the idea is to try and get to the other side, get the dogs both on the same side so they're not jumping at you in the back, which is good. So I did get bitten by both of those zombies before, but did not get bitten by the dogs, so it's a small consolation prize. So once you've killed those two dogs, you can come all the way, long way around here, and then we can unlock the gate in a second. We've got plenty of inventory space at this point, so we don't need to do it right now. So this zombie will spawn as soon as you round the corner, so be careful there. So just go to the left side of that door. You can usually get past two of these three zombies. Oh, let's get past all of them now. That's pretty good. This zombie here on fire does not respawn, so I usually go ahead and kill him here because we will have to come back down to this. We will have to come back through this graveyard 2 more times before the end of the game. Need to go and give Rodrigo his medicine. There's a cutscene right at the beginning which shows that he's bleeding and needs hemostatic medicine. So tried to get past this zombie here and failed. Oh well. And that's 2 more bites from these guys. But these white zombies don't do a huge amount of damage, so not the end of the world. So this is one thing you can't really see in the in this video because I boosted the brightness in editor, but the section of the game is very dark. That bit outside. The game is very dark because the gimmick of this game is you're supposed to carry your lighter with you most of the time, and so in the dark areas of the game you're supposed to get your lighter out and to illuminate some scenes, because it was the gimmick of this game is that it was made for the Dreamcast, and this was the first one that used all 3D environments as opposed to kind of 2D pretty pictures like the previous games on the PS1. So they tried to integrate these kind of 3D gimmicks wherever they could, and one of them was the dynamic lighting. So we've unlocked the... so we've opened the briefcase, and that has the magic material in it. Just remember to pick up this file here. I'm going to feed it into the 3D printer, and now we are going to have our copy. Of the key item, made of the magic material, which will not set off the metal detector. Unfortunately, the windows will now break and all the zombies will crash through, and because you don't have any weapons, you're just going to have to either avoid them or tank the damage. Yeah, only 1 bite, that's not too bad. I'll take it. I'm going to pick up all our stuff. We're going to leave the infinite rocket launcher in there because obviously we're not going to use it in this run, so we'll just leave it in that storage box. We will take the fire extinguisher with us as well. There is one more time we're going to use that in the game, which is very important for this run. I mean, you can try this run without the Magnum. Good luck. Well, I mean, you can do it. I mean, by the if everything goes well, you should end up with tons of grenade gun rounds. So you actually can do it, but makes it very easy for one particular fight. Boss fight with Chris. So again, this area is usually very dark, and where the enemies spawn is random, so in that particular configuration it's very easy to get past them, so not a problem. And they all respawn, so there's no point shooting them. Get those handgun bullets there. I'm going to push this block to get past this fire. So there's the immediate items we need to actually proceed with this part of the game are these 2 blue plates, and these can be used. So we get 2 in this area, and either of them can be used interchangeably, which is kind of cool. And it doesn't really matter which order you do it in, which order you pick up the blue plates, and which doors you use them on. It just changes up the order of this part of the game slightly. There's 3 dogs in this area. You will be coming back and forth through this corridor a few times, so you definitely want to kill them here, and they do not respawn. So, definitely recommend just take them out now. You'll see there's a green flashy object up there, so that is one of the 3 seals you need to finish the first half of the game. You think, well, it must be so easy. It's like there's only 3 and there's one sat right there. Yeah, well, true, but you will go through a baffling amount of effort trying to get the 3rd one, as we will see very shortly. So there's 2 mansions in this part of the game. There's the lower mansion and the upper mansion. So this is the lower one. So you'll see there is a computer there, and that controls the lock for the door on the ground floor. If you know what the code is, you can just go ahead and input it right away. It's not. It's always the same thing. I only like Biohazard 3. They have like a similar gimmick, but in order to try and stop people memorizing the code, they make it random. But still, it's only. I think it's only a selection of 3 or 4 different codes. So you just have to remember 3 or 4 codes instead of 1. But in this particular game, it's always the same thing. NTC 0394. I've memorized that because I've had to put it in once or twice before. So we're just going to run around with a single green herb. Generally in this game, the vast majority of the enemies just do small amounts of incremental damage. You know, obviously if you're playing like Biohazard 2 or 3 or whatever, you know, the lickers will kind of jump and swipe you and do huge amounts of damage, can like one hit you in yellow caution. Generally that does not happen in this game. It's typically stuff like, you know, zombies, dogs, bandersnatchers, which are coming up. So the main kind of liquor equivalent in this game are these big yellow slappy monsters called bandersnatchers, and they do not do huge amounts of damage. I mean, they can do damage relatively quickly over multiple attacks, but they don't have like kind of one big attack that does tons of damage. So we're going to throw that card away. Again, you don't actually physically need to look at it if you know what the code is. You're going to come through this corridor. You're going to come through this corridor 6 to 8 times, depending on what I think in this route we're going to go through this corridor 8 times. So you definitely, it's a worthwhile investment just killing all these zombies. But anyway, in conclusion, there are some hunters when you come back to this island as Chris later on in the game, but until that point, it's perfectly fine to run around with just a single green herb, because you'll be very rarely put into danger, or even orange caution, really. One more zombie there. Again, so I think when you come back out that door, if you don't kill him, he can spawn very close to you, so you can get surprise grabbed if you're not careful. So we're going to come into this room. So there is so in the back of this room, we're actually going to go into the back of the room. So in the back of the room, there's these 2 golden guns, and we need those in order to open the door that will lead us to the upper mansion. You can't actually pick them up right now, because what happens is you get locked in to like a giant microwave thing, and you have to put them back. However, what we will do is pick up that wheel. And when we pick up the wheel, that will unlock a different area. But before we can do that, you can hear Steve here, who has trapped himself in the room, trying to get the guns out. So you come over here and do a little puzzle. So there's a couple of secret requirements in the game. A couple of secret requirements in the game, like story-based requirements in order to get the S rank. and one is you need to let let Steve out of that room as fast as possible. If if you take too long, then what will happen is you can see him in the monitor there. He was like kind of standing up and bashing against the door. If you take too long, he will fall down to his hands and knees, and if that happens, then you need to reset because you have taken too long, and you can't, and you've now failed one of the hidden requirements. So I'm going to pick up all the maps as well. Again, not a really requirement. I just for completion's sake. So we can come up here, and we're just going to spin this wheel, and that will raise this submarine, and that will take us to a different part of the level. This is like a very elaborate way of getting around, but there you have it. It's a Resident Evil for you. So there is a side pack here which we will pick up, and that will increase our inventory from 8 slots to 10. Generally, you will not struggle. I mean, I think back in the Biohazard 1, when you're playing as Chris, you only had 6 slots and couldn't increase them, so comparatively we have lots and lots of slots. You will get a side pack when we switch to Chris later on. You'll get a side pack for him as well relatively quickly. So generally you will not be struggling for inventory space in this game, which is nice. So we're going to come down this corridor, and we're going to, and the whole reason we're down here in this area is to not get bitten. Oh, did not get bitten. So there is a nice mechanic in this game where if you, as long as you're not grabbed straight on, or the zombie isn't turbo, then you can just mash the controls and shake him off most of the time, as long as you do it fast enough. But yeah, so the reason we're down this area is we're going to come and pick up the Biohazard card, which we're going to need to progress into the lab. So we're going to have to come up here, play a quick game of UFO catcher, and with this crane here, and then we will have the, then we'll get the Biohazard card from the lift. So so the other reason you come down here is, so I mentioned you need 3 key items to get out of this. To finish this half of the game, and that's the 3 armed forces seals. So one of them was on the ground on the courtyard, so we just leave it there because we have to come back through that area at the very end. Anyway, so you can just leave it on the ground there. In theory, you can, the time when you're coming down for the Biohazard card, you can pick it off the ground and then go in and install it where it needs to be, which is in the room next door to where we came in earlier, but again, you don't really need to because you're going to have plenty of inventory space anyway. And also so the room where you install it has bats in if you go in early, whereas if you just install all 3 at the end at the same time, then the bats are not there. So. So if you're careful there, then you can just run around those zombies. Save yourself having to shoot them. You can hear the bats chittering away there. And to get to that bat room is just the door on the other, just that door in the back of the hall there. But again, we don't need to come in here yet. And that is pretty much this area done. The next time we come back here, it will be to leave the area. So that's good. So we come through this big long transition here. Obviously, this all is made all a lot smoother thanks to the door skip cheat, which improves the game considerably, in my opinion. So now we have the Biohazard card, so which we can now proceed to the lab. So we're just going to come back down here again. That's the seal that we need. Waiting. James, do not bother killing these zombies because they will be replaced with Bandersnatchers shortly. So this is the last time you're going to have to get past them. So you can just ignore them. There is a giant worm here. but it's generally not too dangerous. You can just run past it. There's no point sitting around fighting it because it doesn't get you anything. You don't get any reward or anything. So there's no point taking the time, ammo, or health trying to kill it. So you come up here and pick up the bow gun and this file. You need to come through here one time to activate this cutscene. Basically, the end goal of this area is to get that painting off the wall, and so this is the first thing you have to do is come and activate this cutscene here. And what that will do, that will lock the area down. But we have the biohazard card, so we can proceed. So I'm going to come into this room. This room is completely optional, but I just came in here for the map. There's also one more herb as well behind this zombie, which I'll pick up. Careful not to get bitten in the legs. But this room is completely optional. In the back of the room, there is a cabinet with some bowgun fire ammo in it. The key to that cabinet is in that room to the left there, but you need to work through quite a lot of zombies in order to get it, so it's generally not worth the time. So, and there's no other files or key items in that room, so it's just so we can just skip it. So we're going to come to this area and be careful not to get shot by this guy. It won't one-shot you, but it will do quite a bit of damage, so careful not to let that happen. So we're going to come down this corridor and pick up these handgun bullets. This is a save room, so we can now go and access this. So this is the hemostatic medicine, which we need to take back to our jailer Rodrigo, who's back at the start of the game. And we will do that before too long. So I'll just keep that in inventory. And again, we're generally not struggling for inventory space, so not an issue. So here you get trapped into this area and introduced to your first sort of mini-boss fight. So this is introducing the Bandersnatch, which is like kind of the liquor equivalent of this game. And so the idea is basically just to put some distance in between yourself and then just blast him with the bowgun. You normally spring over to that wall to the left, but in this particular playthrough we did not do that, so that's fine. Just come over to the top of these stairs here and just shoot it until it dies. Probably won't be able to approach you fast enough, which it did not. So Bandersnatches only have 2 attacks. So one is like a stretch. Well, I guess they have 3. They have like kind of like a backhand when they're close. They have like the stretchy slap, and then the third one is like the thing where they kind of grab the top of your head and squeeze, and then you need to like mash to release it. But the vast majority of the time you're just going to see the long distance slap. So we're going to come to this section as take control of Steve real quick. And he has his M11 submachine guns, which is nice. Now these are percentage guns, but however they do not affect the requirement. Remember when I very first played the game back on Dreamcast, I did not actually use these guns because oh, they're percentage guns, so I can't use them. But it turns out that's not the case. This section as Steve does not affect the run. See, there's some acid rounds in that cupboard. We will come back to those. So you can't pick up any of the items in this area. It will just say, oh, this is not relevant to me, or I don't need those now, or something like that. And the idea is you just come through here and just have a bit of fun with your effectively infinite ammo, blasting all these zombies. And then come down here for a cutscene. So we'll be going up and down this lift a whole lot later on in the game, but for now, just part of a control cutscene. You'll see that there is a shutter there with a blue keycard. We'll get that at some point. So we've got a double cutscene here where Steve's zombie dad shows up. And as you can see, he's very upset, so we'll just leave him alone for a little while. Now, some handgun bullets hidden up here, so let's grab those. Now, in theory, there is a door on the left which you can go through. So basically, at this point here, you kind of decide which route you're going to take for this part of the game. So you can either go through the other door in that room to go and pick up the plate from the diorama room, or you can come this way, And this is the route I prefer for reasons that will become evident in due course. So at this point, so we have the golden guns off Steve now, so we can now go back to the mansion and then use them to unlock the door. Notice that the zombies have now been replaced by additional Bandersnatchers. So the strategy for the Bandersnatcher, as discussed, just put some distance between you, and then just blast them with the bow gun. Generally, do not recommend using the handgun. Handgun is terrible on these things for some reason. So later on, you get an upgrade for the handgun where you can go has like a burst mode, which is a bit more useful. But the vanilla handgun against the Bandersnatch is pretty terrible. So we're now going to come in here. And we're going to come up these stairs. And we're going to take out this zombie here because we are going to have to come down this little corridor. So there's a door at the end of that corridor. We can't get in there yet because we need a key. But we will come back to it on the way down. So we'll take him out now. There's this zombie here who is camping this door. As you can see, the bow gun generally is not the greatest gun in the world. But the flame arrows that you get are some of the best weapons in the game because it's a very high fire rate and it can one-shot a lot of enemies. But you do not get a lot of ammo you get a lot of flame arrows ammo. So there's a quick cutscene here. There is a file on the table, but it's not the sort you can pick up. It's just a hint for this puzzle here. But if you know what the code is, you can just go ahead and put it in straight away. Okay, 1971. I guess I think it's the founding date of Umbrella, or the founding date of this base, or founding date of something. I don't know. Maybe it's Alexi's birthday. I don't know. It's some significant date. They explain it in the file soon. So we're now going to come through here, and Bandersnatch is now going to jump through this window. Now you don't have to kill this thing, but subsequent runs through this room, he will spawn behind the desk. And you can get past him in most instances, but I find it's easier just to kill him. So when you get stuck in a room with a Bandersnatch like that, as you can see, the majority of his attacks are just kind of that long slap. So if you time it wonderfully, what you can do is you can stop shooting and just make a little dodge to his left to avoid the slap. Or you can just stand there and tank the damage. Up to you, really, depending on your health situation. So there's two lickers in this Bandersnatch in this area, and you can just run past them. So yeah, you need to make this is now the upper mansion area. So we need to make 2 trips to this mansion, and this is the first one. I have the lighter equipped, so the gimmick in this game is if you have the lighter equipped, the bats can't attack you, which is kind of a nice gimmick. But so there's only 3 rooms in the game that actually have bats, and this is, and we actually skip one of them, and this is the second one. And you can see, as long as we have the lighter equipped here, we will not get maimed by the bats. Very similar to the crows in Biohazard 1, but even more annoying somehow. So we're just going to come to this area here. There's a herb hidden in this corner. Which you can see is nice and obvious if you have the lighter equipped, but majority of the time you do not. There's no enemies in this area, so I'm just going to keep the lighter equipped because we need to go back down through the bat room very shortly. So you close the music box, and this raises up the bed, and then this will reveal the silver key, which we need in order to unlock some rooms in the lower mansion, which is where we're going to go back to now. Some handgun bullets on the side there. So in order to actually get the third and final seal, we need 2 jeweled insects. They are both in rooms in the lower mansion, but we need to be able to unlock them. So one requires a gold key, and then, well, you need the gold and silver key. They are in 2 different rooms, and you will need to go through various hoops in order to open them up. To unlock them inside the rooms. not just a matter of getting the key. That would be far too easy. So you can see, run back to that area again. There's no point shooting those. Those bandersnatches will respawn the next time you come through to this area. So don't waste your time or ammo trying to kill them. I'm going to come back here and we have the silver key. So I'm just going to see what the inventory looks like. So the door on the other side of this, on the second floor, the other side of this balcony. I should go and unlock that door now. So we're not carrying the key around with us. So we're going to unlock this door and not actually go in because we do not have the key item we need in order to solve the puzzle in that room. We need a piano roll, which we will go. Actually, very shortly we will go down and go pick up. So to get the piano roll, we need to open the door with the blue plate behind the guillotine. And in order to open that door, we need a key item, which we're about to pick up now. So there's two bandersnatches in this room. Unfortunately, you're just in slap range when you walk in here. So you will most likely take a little bit of damage, but not a lot you can do about that, unfortunately. I was one arrow short, and then I got slapped and put into caution. That's so depressing. Oh, well. Never mind. Anyway, so we're going to come over here, and we're going to pick up the file at the front of the room here. The hunk report. Just in case you want your report on hunks. And we're going to go pick up this item here, which is this blue plate. The eagle plate, as it's called. So, as I mentioned, there's two of those in this area of the game, and they can be used interchangeably in either location, which is kind of cool. And again, doesn't really affect anything, just sort of changes the order and how this section of the game plays out. But we have that plate, so what we are going to do is now go back down to the prison. Just checking I have the medicine on me. So we're going to go back down to the prison, use that plate, and also give that medicine to Rodrigo. So the reason I usually do this order is because if we do it this way, then it means you have access to the lockpick right away. Which means you can then unlock a couple of places inside the lab. So one of which is including these delicious acid rounds. And again, you probably don't actually need them. It's fairly excessive, but I mean, you have to come down to both areas anyway. So if you do it this order, then there's no harm in unlocking them. I mean, they're basically free. So that's why I do it this way. So even if you killed these enemies before, they have now subsequently respawned. You can see that they've kind of changed up their locations. This is the last time we have to come through the graveyard, so up to you whether or not you want to try and sneak past them or just shoot them all. Ugh, took a bite there. Just finish that one off. Finish that one off. So we killed two of them and left one alive. So come back down this corridor here. So when you come back to this room, two things happen. First of all, you give him the medicine, and then secondly, you also give him the lighter which you're holding. And in exchange, he gives you the lockpick. There's a green herb in your cell, so let's not forget that. It's always good to have a green herb on you. And then we're going to leave this area now. And we're going to leave Rodrigo there. We will meet him again when we take control as Chris later on. But we now no longer need to come to the graveyard. Did get grabbed, but I was able to push him off without taking a bite, which is nice. So if you're coming down here, then you would want to come get the lockpick first, because we're going to have to go and fight Dr. Zombie in a minute. I mentioned earlier one of the puzzles in the lower mansion requires nice turbo, thank you. One of the puzzles in the lower mansion requires a piano roll, and that's what we're going to go do now. So there is there's a doctor in this area here, has like a kind of a medieval torture chamber, and inside it is the piano roll. So that's what we're going to do. So we get here. There's two zombies hiding behind this door here, so make sure to reload before you use that plate. And we're going to come down here. So there's two zombies in this area. So there's two things you can either do. You can either go to the storage crate straight ahead and pick up some goodies, or you can go straight ahead and pick up the piano roll. Now I should have done that the other way around, because when I come back into this room in a minute after completing this, there will be 3 zombies in this room and I'm going to have to kill them again. So should go down to the storage crate first actually, so I screwed that up. There is a first aid spray in the cabinet there, but we can ignore that. So in order to progress this bit of the room, you just need to go into this room and then immediately back out again. But there are some goodies in here, so we are going to actually clear it out and pick all the goodies up. But in theory, all of this stuff is optional. You could just exit the room and then that will set off the cutscene, which will let you proceed and spawn Dr. Zombie. Red herb in this corner, it's quite easy to miss. And 2 more zombies here. It's taking a alarming amount of damage. And so this is the this is one of the briefcases here. So there's 2 briefcases in the game. Well, aside from the one at the very beginning with the key item with the magic material in it, and they both require the lockpick to open. So one of them has the handgun parts, which unlocks the burst mode. It says automatic, but it's not. It's burst mode. So there you go, and it does make short work of the zombies. However, it does burn through the ammo very quickly, so you should just keep an eye on the ammo. So there is a fairly heavy ammo check coming up near the end of the first half of the game, so you need to vaguely keep an eye on your ammo count. So this is the Dr. Zombo. It's like a kind of a little mini boss. He moves very fast and takes lots of damage. So you definitely want that automatic modification before you take him on. If you've changed up the order of the game, you may have the grenade gun at this point, in which case, by all means use it. As you can see, it took, what, 30 something bullets to put down. So anyways, when he goes down, he then picks up you can pick up his glass eye. There's a file on this desk here, which we won't forget, and we're going to use the glass eye on this statue here to reveal a hidden path down to the dungeon. So I mentioned there were 3 places in the game, 3 rooms in the game with bats, and this is the 3rd one. Unfortunately, you've already given up your lighter, so you're going to have to take some. You have to take some bites from these bats here. I see my biggest issue when struggling with the bats is that I usually activate quick turn, which is what happened there. There's 4 zombies in this room. They do swarm you quite quickly, so you probably want to go back to the entrance and just start blasting. Despite how interesting this room looks, there is not a lot to actually do in here. There's no files or anything. Some handgun ammo here and some bowgun bolts just over to the side there. But apart from that, this relatively interesting room, you can just run right through it. There's a small puzzle we're just going to solve here. So as soon as you pick up that sword, it will lock you in. You just need to rotate this around to disable the gas and unlock the door. And that statue will then spin around to reveal a Iron Maiden, in which we will go use the sword. Nice jump scare here as this zombie jumps out, who has miraculously survived having a sword pushed through him. Oh, the turbo! Look at this! Look at this speed. Very fast zombie. But again, you don't need to waste your time with him. So if you didn't kill all the zombies in this room, one will respawn right by the exit. Haha, but no bite for you. Okay, and out we go. Mauled by the bats again, which is why I have not saved until I actually got through this room. Not saved, used a green herb until I got through this room. But yeah, that was a pretty good run, so I'm happy with that. On the plus side, we never have to see bats again in the game, so we can kiss them goodbye. Hooray. Great, and now we can leave. So this is why I should have gone to the storage room first, because otherwise, if you've already been to the storage room, you can just shoot that one zombie and be on your way, but now I'm going to have to shoot all 3 of these in order to get to the storage room and back. Oh well, note for next time. But that's the only time they respawn, so they're done. So what this corridor will do, this will take us back to the room on the other side of the metal detector room, because there were some goodies in that room which we ought to have access to, which is what we are back to pick up. So back in here, so specifically we want to pick up these anti-BOW rounds for the grenade gun. We don't have the grenade gun yet, but we will pick it up shortly. So these anti-BOW rounds for zone, those are the only ones you find in the game, and they do lots of damage, so they're quite useful for the mid-game boss fight. So we're just going to store them for now, and we'll store the piano roll too, because we're not going to use that for a little while. And that is it. We are now done with the prison section of the game, so we can now leave and never return. And I know this game gets a lot of shit for the amount of backtracking involved, but it's a great thing about the door skip cheat. It makes things a lot easier. Again, this area is very dark. You get bitten 3 times here, which really sucks, but on the plus side, we never have to come back here. Again, the brightness of this video has been boosted. In editing, it's usually quite considerably darker than this. There's no way to actually change the brightness in-game, or in the emulator for that matter, so your only way would be to play in a very dark room, or boost the brightness on your TV, but I don't really want to mess around with my TV settings because I have it just right. So in conclusion, that's why I quite often get bitten in these dark areas. It's not because I suck. It's definitely because it's dark. Just to make that clear. So we're going to now come back here. We're going to go through this. We're going to go through this courtyard, and we're going to go back to the area where we first left Steve. Totally don't kill the dogs in that room because the traversal from the space distance from the door to door is quite small. So we come through this door and pick up the blue plate. Now, in theory, you could come in here and pick up the blue plate immediately after the Steve cutscene to save yourself 1 or 2 room transition. There's nothing to stop you doing that. You just have to remember to bring it with you when you come back here, because there is no... Is there a storage box in this area? I guess there is. But then you're just losing even more time than just doing it like this. So by all means, if you remember to bring it with you, remember to store it and take it with you, and you're okay for inventory space, then you can come to this area immediately after. But as I said, it's only a couple of extra traversals, so I just go and pick it up now. Again, we can just ignore our friend the worm. The worm's attacks are fairly well telegraphed. I mean, sometimes it does spring out of the ground unannounced, but there's not a huge amount you can do about that. It's fairly rare. As long as you stay around the edges of the room, you're normally fine. So this room now has 2 dogs in it. I very rarely get attacked by these 2 dogs, so you can, as long as you know where you're going and not dithering around. So we're going to use the eagle plate, the eagle crest on that that thing here. I'm just coming here to unlock this shutter. This is optional, but what it does mean is that when we use the biohazard card for the 3rd and final time, it means we can just throw it away and we don't have it stuck in our inventory. Because we are going to be quite tight for inventory space shortly, so since it's only literally next door, it doesn't hurt just to pop in there and unlock it. Obviously, if I was short on health or ammo or whatever, I would pop in. So that you could pop into the storage room as well, but generally shouldn't be required. So we're going to use the indigo card here. So this is so that blue plate gave us the indigo card, and that'll open these indigo card reader doors. There are 3 in total, and that's one of them. About to go do the second one here. So this area doesn't have any zombos in it because Steve cleared it out, which was very nice of them. Handgun bullets over here. So there is so there's a green chemical on the side there, but you can't use that. That's for Chris to come back later. Chris needs to come back into this room later on in the game, so we're going to unlock these acid rounds, but we don't need to take them with us because we don't have the inventory space. I'm going to pick up the explosive rounds on this shelf, which are quite easy to mix. And then we're going to use the indigo card for the 2nd time to pick up the grenade gun. And then we're going to come down back here. So this next corridor will be important for Chris, but there's like some metal stairs on the side there. So those will be down for Chris, and he'll have to do some stuff in this area. But not Claire. We can just proceed directly to the second floor to use the indigo card for the third and final time. And again, you can completely switch up the order to do this. You can actually do this right away, immediately after you get the golden guns, and then get it done and out the way. But if you really wanted the acid rounds that are behind the locked door, you would have to come back here later, which is a bit of a pain. Again, you can perfectly beat the game without them, but just by making a slight adjustment to the order here, you get them for effectively free. So some more grenade gun rounds in under that desk, and there's 2 more herbs there on the left-hand side. Now we're going to pick up the second seal. And then we're going to use the monitor here to look at this painting. And the painting will reveal the room code. Even just knowing the code, you can't just go in there straight away, because even if you know the code, because of that cutscene we triggered that caused a biohazard alert, which means that room is then locked until we make this loop around the lab and get to that bit, in which case at that point the biohazard alert is completed. Which means we can now go and use the biohazard card the third and final time to get back into that room and get the painting off the wall. Oops, now we know what the code is. We can just come in here and put it in. We're going to pick up these acid rounds here. On reflection, maybe we could pick up those acid rounds directly out of that cabinet, since we're going to have to pick some up here anyway. And then they stack nicely. Oh, well, never mind. In worst case, if we were completely out of inventory space here, then you could just like burn one of those herbs or something. So these kind of, I think they're supposed to be salamanders, or mutant salamanders or something. They're very annoying, as they can shock you and stun you over and over again. But managed to just get past them without any drama there, which is good. So you can see the timer is ticking down there in order to get out of this area. Using door skip makes this very easy, because so in the original game, the counter continues even during the door loading scenes. So if you have door skip turned on, you have way more time than you would do normally. It's kind of cheating, but I mean, it's not particularly difficult anyway, so not like you're giving yourself any massive advantage. But you are making the game far more enjoyable to play, so I think it's worth it. Anyway, so now we have the painting, so now we can come back to this corridor. These zombies have respawned. So we're going to just take them out now. And come back down this corridor, and we're going to place the painting on the wall. So this is back to the diorama room, and it's called the diorama room because when you put this painting down, the diorama is revealed. This is that's the second use of the lockpick in the lab, but we're not going to use it, obviously, because that will invalidate the run. But now we have the gold key, so that's the second key for the lower mansion. And this area is now done. There's the only 2 items you actually need from this whole area are the golden guns and the golden key, and we have them both now, which means we can leave and never return. Well, we will actually briefly make a return later on, but for Claire, this section is now done. So we took out those bandersnatches earlier, and they do not respawn, so that was a worthwhile investment. So we're not getting slapped a bunch of times here. And again, once you take the dogs out in this corridor, they never respawn either. So we have a nice free run here. So now that we are going to make our second trip to the upper mansion, we will get a cutscene here with Wesker.
Greetings.
Greetings, Claire. Though he doesn't. Well, nothing really happens story-wise. He shows up, beats you up a little bit, and then runs off. So we have the golden key, and the golden key is down here. Again, we took out all these zombies, so it was also worth doing. I'm going to open this door here and do a quick picture puzzle. So this is just what you're doing here is the line of succession on the family, starting with Lady Veronica and then moving down through the various members of the family. So this base, so on the top of the stairs there is a file which kind of somewhat explains the puzzle. You kind of match them up based off what crockery they have in the picture, whether they have cups or plates or whatever, candlesticks in this case. So, and then this guy on the front here is Alfred, with Alexia on the reverse side. So the actual file itself doesn't completely explain the puzzle. There's actually you're actually supposed to go into the silver key room next door and look at one of the paintings in that room, and that kind of fills the gap in the puzzle. But I mean, nothing happens even if you screw up the puzzle order. It just sets a siren off, and then you have to leave the room and come back in again. So there's no real harm in just sort of playing around with it until you get it. I think there's only a couple of combinations that it can be based off the information you get from the file in the room. Okay, we're going to come back in here and pick up the piano roll. So you can see we got a pot from that room. Inside the pot is one of the jeweled insects. Dump some of these herbs off. We're going to take some ammo with us because we are going. Because as I mentioned earlier, there's a fairly heavy ammo check coming up. Well, ammo or health check, up to you. But since we have lots of both, I'm going to go ammo. And that's what Resident Evil, the franchise is generally all about. Do you want to burn your ammo so you don't get bitten, or do you want to try and save your ammo and at the cost of getting bitten and using your heals instead? So, just depending on what you have most in your inventory at the time. So we're going to go over here. Pick up these handgun bullets, and there is some gunpowder there to make some fire rounds for the bowgun. These come in very handy, so you do not want to use these. We're going to use these for the mid-game boss. Use the piano roll here. And now we have the second jeweled insect. As explained, the other one is inside this pot. Piano continues to play, which is a nice touch. But now we have both the insects, which means we can now access the very top floor of the upper mansion, which is where we're going to go now. Again, we killed this Bandersnatch, so it's not there to harass us. It would be standing behind the desk trying to slap you if you did. So I mentioned the ammo check, and this is here, and here it is now. So this corridor is now filled with zombies. So you will have to take them out. But again, I mean, you could push past them and just take the damage instead if you like. Again, depends on what your inventory status is at the time. As mentioned earlier, the automatic mode on this gun really does burn through the ammo. I think I enter this upper mansion with like 200 and something bullets, and when I leave, I'm down to like 80 something. So does use lots of ammo, but definitely worthwhile taking out those zombies so you have a nice clear run on the way back. So you get 2 more Bandersnatches in this area, which is why you don't bother to kill them in the first place. I mean, you can kill them now if you like, but you'll almost certainly take more damage killing them than just running past them, so don't bother. The bats are now gone and been replaced with zombies. So more ammo check here, because these are all generally in very tight corridors that you can't squeeze past without taking damage. Could probably get away with not killing that second zombie, but he went down pretty quickly, so not an issue. So if you're actually too slow in coming up those stairs, the zombie can actually beat you to the stairs, and it will start walking down. And the logic of the game says only you or an enemy can be on the stairs simultaneously. So if the zombie does start walking down the stairs, you need to very patiently wait for him to get to the bottom before you can actually go up, before you can actually kill him and go up yourself. So bit of a fun quirk there. So we have both in 6 now, so we're going to go in here and use it on the music box, and then that will give us the music box disc. And I'll take the disc. I'm going to go and put it in the matching music box next door. There's 2 more zombies here. Including this guy who gets up very quickly. I think if they're off screen for some reason, they get up faster, I suspect. I think there was actually a red herb back there, but oh well, never mind. Certainly no shortage of healing in this game. So we put in the music box plate, and then that will lower the ladder to the top floor. File on this disc, we won't forget. There's a very brief puzzle here. We need to pick up this jeweled dragonfly. And then put it in this wall, which is you actually go through an amazing amount of effort trying to recreate one of these dragonflies later in the game, so it's too bad we can't take it with us, but oh well. And this will now give us access to the very top floor of the upper mansion, where we will finally get our 3rd and last seal, which is the F seal, if I remember correctly. Which I do, because I've played this game 400,000 times. So there's some handgun bullets here hidden behind this chair, and a final file on top of this step ladder. And that is it. We have all of our items, and we can get the fuck out of here. So what those 3 seals do, they unlock a lift that will take you down to the an aeroplane, which you can use to escape. So once you have all 3, in theory, you can just leave. As you will note, we actually do not have people. Observant viewers will notice that we do not have all 3 seals. We still do not have the 3rd one, but because we left that on the floor of the courtyard. So if you've already picked that one up, what will happen is at the time you get the 3rd, right immediately after that cutscene there with Steve, the self-destruct alarm will go off, and you'll have lots of dramatic music and sirens wailing all the way down. But because we have not picked up that 3rd seal yet, obviously the game needs to give you time to go and pick up the one from the lab if you haven't done it already, if you somehow manage to go all the way through the lab and not pick up the seal. But that's not even possible, because you can't even get the painting off the wall to get the gold key unless you pick up that seal first. So, well, anyway, no. Technicalities. Anyway, so so very shortly we will pick up the 3rd seal off the floor of the courtyard, and then that will set off the self-destruct. This inventory looks fine, so I'm going to go ahead and just leave. And again, so we're now done with the lower mansion too, which means all we need to do is just not get bitten by this zombie at the bottom of the stairs here, and we are done. So we will now go and pick up our 3rd seal, and then that will set off the self-destruct cutscene.
Self-destruct system has been
Alfred's insane.
activated.
He's trying to blow this entire place up.
Evacuate immediately.
So when you have all 3 seals and you go into the middle of this room, that will then trigger the final Steve cutscene. Well, the final Steve cutscene for this area. And you will both go down together. At this point, I don't think you can even go... Oh, maybe you can. it might tell you, oh, I need to go and follow Steve down to the airport. But yes, so he's waiting for you here, and then you go down. Then you go down together to go and use the 3 seals. And that's generally and of that we just at this point we just like kind of follow the corridors around. There's no particularly puzzles involved. They have once you have the seals, you can't just immediately escape because the bridge is down. You need to go and raise the bridge, so that's what we'll do shortly. At this point, we should sort of be thinking about what ammo we need for the final for the mid-game boss. So the mid-game boss is it jumps on a plane, and then it jumps on the plane on which you are escaping, and then you need to try and it's like a tyrant thing, and you need to get rid of it. In order to get rid of it, there is like a cargo chute, and so you press this button, and what that does, that pushes the tyrant off. However, if he is in full health, then he will just push the cargo back at you, which means he won't actually get knocked off the plane yet. So there's 2 things you can do. You can either spend a lot of time in the room, you can either spend a lot of time in the cargo room hitting him over and over again with the cargo chute, because the cargo chute takes time to reload, you see. Thing is, when he is on full health, he is very fast and does lots of damage, so you would need a lot of heals in order to go that strategy, and it's quite risky as well because he can also knock you off the back of the plane, and which will kill you instantly, so that's also not great either. So the safest strat is to hit him once with a cargo chute, pile a bunch of ammo into him, hit him once with a cargo chute, and then just kill some time, and then that will injure him suitably so that you can easily avoid his attacks while the cargo chute recharges, and then you can knock him off and kill him, which is the strategy we'll do here. It's vague. It's I wouldn't say soft lock, but it's vaguely possible to soft lock your game if you don't have enough ammo for that fight, because as discussed, if you don't have enough ammo, you are going to have to spend a lot of time in the back of the plane with the tyrant waiting for the cargo chute to recharge. So if you do not have enough ammo or health, you've kind of soft locked your game because you wouldn't be able to beat him. You wouldn't be able to survive the encounter. But I don't know, it's pretty hard to do that. Game gives you generally plenty of ammo. So now that the bridge is raised, the plane can now take off. So all you need to do is actually get back to the plane. But of course, because the bridge is now raised, you can't come back to where you came, so you now need to go through a big old loop back through the lab. There's some flashy indicators on the wall there, but that's a puzzle for Chris, so we don't need to worry about that. So we pick up that key, and that key will open the shutter in this room. That has been there the whole time. And the zombies very nicely stay on the other side of the room, so you never need to worry about them. When we come through this shutter, this will take us to a cargo lift. It's actually a save room as well. There's a few items in this room which are quite easy to miss, so we'll put all those up there. So this cargo lift will take you to the other side, which is which will take you up to the courtyard where the worm is. You can actually try and activate that lift in the worm room earlier on in the game, but it will tell you, oh, you can't activate this lift because it's stuck on another floor, and this is said stuck on the other floor. So, just I'm going to push these crates in here. And then as soon as you do that and activate this lift, that will start the 5-minute timer. I actually thought the game had crashed here, and I was exceedingly sad because the game loves to crash about the 1 hour in mark. But fortunately, it did not. So which is why you are actually able to watch this run, because I would probably have rage quit and deleted it if it actually had crashed at this point. But anyway, so similar to the earlier timer puzzles, because we're using door skip, we have quite a bit more time than we would do normally, because we don't have to sit there watching the animations. We're going to take the grenade gun here, and we're going to fight. We're going to have the first fight for the tyrant here. The grenade gun is pretty good, it has good splash damage, but you need to be very close in order to use it. And you'll know if you're close enough because he will do that kind of stagger thing here. He gets down on his knees, you can just start blasting him. Not actually sure if I'm even hitting him there, actually. You know if you're close enough because he will kind of flinch like that. And if you're trying to be clever and run past him, you can't. He will just kind of swipe and knock you back. Even when he's on his knees, again, he will just swipe and knock you back. So you need to wait. So you need to get him down so he's flat in his face before you can actually get past him. That took 8 grenade gun rounds. I wonder if when he was on his knees for the first time I wasn't quite close enough doing full damage, but well, it doesn't matter. You have no shortage. Should have no shortage of grenade gun rounds anyway. You pick up 6 in that cargo lift room anyway, so you shouldn't be hurting for ammo. So all we need to do is then just loop back to the plane, coming the long way around. But there should be no real issue on the time front if you're not hanging around. I mean, there's nothing to do anyway, and you can't even go back into if you're trying to be clever and go back into the lab to pick something up. You can't. It will tell you, no, I need to get back to the plane. So you would have to work pretty hard to run out of time here.
The self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel evacuate immediately.
Yeah. Get past these zombies for the last time, and we are now done. So what we have now at this point is the boss fight. And so you notice actually back when I was in the storage room, I actually, when I was in the storage cargo lift room, I already picked up the rounds, the anti-BOW green rounds. Now you do have access to a save point right here.
It's finally over.
Access to an item box right here, but if you accidentally go directly into the room without opening the item box first, then you get stuck in the room and can't get back out again. So definitely want to make sure you have the right items, which is why for safety, I picked them up. For safety, I picked them up in the cargo lift room, so I wouldn't forget them. I'm letting some of these cutscenes play a little bit because
The cargo room hatch is open.
the last run I did, the game actually crashed in this cutscene, or the cutscene immediately before this one, which is literally the last one before the middle of the game save, so that was very depressing. So I let these cutscenes just play a little bit just to make sure it doesn't crash. So we'll go into this room, and you can actually see him, he's off camera, but you just blast him with all 10 of your fire rounds, and then hit him with 1 of the green BOW grenade gun rounds, and then hit the cargo chute. You can squeeze in a second one if you're lucky, but he can get very close and then get you, so there's no point taking the risk. So just hit him with 1, and then just hit him with the other 2. Then a couple more handgun bullets, and he will flinch. There you go. And then at that point, he is now wounded, and you can see he's now slowly shuffling towards you, as opposed to coming towards you quickly like you would before. You still need to be a little bit careful, because he can swipe you and knock you off the back of the plane, even injured, so do watch that. And at this point, we are now just waiting for the cargo chute to recharge, and we'll know when that happens, because it will beep. Oh, and there it is. So yeah, and you can, in theory, do this section without using any ammo at all, but good luck. And that is the end of the first half of the game.
What was wrong?
Oh, nothing. Just a giant cockroach that had to be stepped on.
And you get a free save here. You will notice when you actually save, I'll save the game just for funsies. But you'll notice, actually, when it saves, it says save 0. It does not count as a save. So the reason it actually registers as save 0 is because this is back when the game originally came out on Dreamcast. It was on 2 discs, so at this point of the game, you did the disc change, and that's why you get that free save there, which is quite nice. The first thing we're going to do is going to come and run into this bunk room here. You can't actually access most of the items in this room until the zombies have woken up, and you do that by picking up this flame round powder here. Quite a lot of ammo in this room, which is good because there's quite a lot of zombies in it as well. So yeah, first aid spray there, but we're obviously going to ignore it. And then finally pick up the powder. Zombie will fall off the bed, and then when we approach it, you can see there's handgun rounds there as well. When we approach it, they will wake up. So here, this is the power of the fully automatic pistol here. Burst mode at least. But it does eat through the old ammo. So there's only a few things that you really want in this room. So apart from the handgun ammo, there's a file on the desk, on the table, which we will pick up. A lot of the guides on the internet say that this is a Chris-only file, but you can very much pick this up as Claire. So do not believe everything you read on the internet. So we are now going to come down here. So straight ahead is the save room, but we don't want to go in there yet because so there's a key item we need, but you can't actually access it until the power is back on. So that's the first thing we're going to do, is going to go and turn the power back on. So these enemies in the game are, they only appear in this one little corridor and they infinitely respawn. They're not generally too bad. So they have a couple of attacks. So one is to actually land on you and lay an egg in your back, which doesn't sound very pleasant, but it's not a big deal after, like, so if they lay an egg in your back, it'll happen. It'll no doubt happen in the course of the run, so when it does, I'll explain it then. But the second attack is they have like this poison cloud, and if you run through it, there's about a 50% chance of you getting poisoned. But that's fine because in the same corridor there is a infinite planter of blue herbs, so again, not a big deal. So we're going to come into this room and we're going to go and pick up the key to the mining room. Claire does not need to come back into this room, so that's the end of that for her. I mean, this whole section is fairly short for Claire. It's over before you know it, especially if you know what you're doing. So we're going to go into the mining room here, and the first thing we're going to do is actually go up these stairs and look at the gas valve. Now this will become relevant later. So this is this is the valve in order to shut off the emergency gas system. You need to take a look at it to see how many sided socket it needs, and that will become relevant in a little while because that is so it's an 8-sided socket. So this room has lots of ammo and health in it, as well as 3 dogs, so have to be careful not to get attacked by the dog when we're picking up these items, which is exactly what happens. Well, no shortage of heals in this room as discussed, so not a problem. We're going to go down here. This is the first switch we need in order to turn the power on. When we flip it, and you can see there's 2 herbs on the right there. So we're going to pick those up. I mean, again, I think we're like totally overdoing it on the heals front. There's ton. I think we already have tons of health in storage, but since we're here, might as well just grab one. The dog's sleeping there, so watch out for him. And we're just going to pick up here, kill the final dog, and then turn the power back on. So we can, now that the power's back on, we can now go to the save room and access the key item that is in there. So we're going to come back out here. All of these zombies respawn even if you kill them, so no point wasting your time or ammo. So that's the poison cloud I was talking about. I did not get poisoned there, which is nice. So there is a halberd, a gold halberd slot in the wall there. You can't do anything about that as Claire. It will come back as Chris later on and use that. We'll want to use those fire arrows for the boss of this section, so I'm just going to store them for now. So now, oh, there's a file. Yeah, there's a file over on top of this cabinet here, so which is quite easy to miss. So we're going to push this shelf here to reveal a hidden corridor. That's the mouse that writes the secret file, yellow file 4. So now that the power is back on, we can now press this button, and these lockers will shift back out the way. This will give us access to the scary room where Nosferatu lives. Which I believe, according to the story, is Alexia and Alfred's father, who they have gone and turned into like some sort of zombie slave for some reason. I'm sure there was a good reason. So anyway, so in that room you get a flower pot, and at the bottom of the pot there is a key, which will go and unlock the machine room. So our next port of call will be to go off to the machine room. Have I been poisoned there? Yes, I have. So again, it's not a big deal. So if you get poisoned, you just need to just walk over to this planter here and give yourself the antidote. You can get infinitely poisoned, but there's also infinite antidote too. So, so this is the egg laying I was talking about. So you can actually see, and you have an egg sticking out of your back now. So in about 10 seconds, it will try to hatch, and then all you have to do is just mash to throw it down. So if you don't mash hard enough, what happens is the egg kind of explodes and it will poison you. Sounds delightful. But as long as you mash hard enough, then it's fine. Well, I mean, if that happened, you would just have to go back downstairs and give yourself the antidote again. So not a big deal. So we're going to come back into this machine room here now, and we're going to go pick up the main key item for this area, which is this valve handle. So once that is done, we're going to come back into this room here. And we're going to set off this cutscene with Steve. So what happens in that cutscene is they try to use a big mining machine to bash through the wall, but in the end they end up breaking the mining machine and setting off poisonous gas instead. Not ideal. So we're going to come across to this room as well. We're going to pick up these handgun ammo. There is a zombie in the cage there, but he will not come out for the duration of Claire's visit. He will pop out later when Chris comes back. So the point of information here is that the valve handle we picked up is like 4-sided, but we need an 8-sided one, which is why we come over to this metal machine here and use it. So again, if you have not looked at the gas valve socket, then you won't be able to activate this item. It will say, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing," or something. So, which I guess makes sense because the character doesn't know at that point how many sides the valve needs to be. So, so that's why you take a look at it. Go and turn on the power, and that will let you come in here and use the machine right away. Otherwise, you'd need to go back to the room and take another look at it. So now that we have the valve handle, that's pretty much. Yeah, I guess there's one more. So we need. There's one more thing we need, and that's the gas mask. So the gas mask is in the third and final room, which we did not go into in the main hall. And we're about to go into now. So you can't actually pick up the gas mask until gas is released in that particular room. So that is what we are going to do now. So this is the room we need to go into. But before we do that, let's go and flip this switch. So this switch, what this will do, this will move the conveyor belt and drop the crate into the room where we picked up the mining room key. and what that will do is that will drop the Magnum for Chris to pick up later. We can't get in there because there is a fire and we need the fire extinguisher, and although we have the fire extinguisher in the inventory, the fire extinguisher is actually empty at this point, so you will need to actually recharge it, and the recharging only happens in Chris's part of the game. There's actually 2 herbs in the corner of the room there, but we're already pretty chock-a-block on inventory, so I'm just going to skip those and just pick up the ammo in this room. The gas mask is over there by the door, but we can't actually access it yet because the gas hasn't gone off in this room yet, but that's what we're going to do now. With that barcode, we're going to paste it on the box and then activate the conveyor belt again, and what that will do is that will release the gas into the room and unlock the gas mask. So now I have the gas mask, which is great. And that is the end of this section. So quickly pop back to make sure our inventory is all sorted. I definitely want to leave the grenade gun to Chris, because basically after this next bit, that'll be the end. That'll basically the end of Claire's game, and then we switch to Chris. So everything that we want to leave to Chris, we need to go and dump off now. So we don't need a lot of healing. So all I'm going to take with me is the handgun and the bow gun. And then just leave everything else. And what you can do instead is, so what I've done is I've left the handgun bullets there for Chris's game. Now what you can do instead is take the leave the bow gun with the fire rounds. That will make the worm fight with Chris a lot easier. But it just makes this boss a little bit harder. And so the gimmick in this boss is it kind of gives off these purple clouds of smoke, and if it hits you enough times, well, maybe it's RNG actually. So there's an RNG chance of it poisoning you, and it's not just, and you can't just use a blue herb on it. It's a special poison.
We're safe now.
And that will ever so slightly change the route that Chris will need to do later on in the game. So if you take on this boss with just handgun bullets instead, you are increasing the amount of time you spend fighting this boss, which means you're going to increase the chance of getting poisoned. So what we do instead is just take the flame rounds so we can kill him pretty quickly. And you'll notice there's a shiny sniper rifle. Alfred's dropped his sniper rifle there. This is just a bit of a bonus. This is a bit of a bonus weapon. You can ignore it. But since this is the one chance in the game you get to pick it up, you might as well have a bit of fun with it. So there's also a special ending to the boss. If you manage to do the killing shot with like a shot to the heart, then you get a cool cutscene where the heart kind of, where Claire will kind of shoot the gun and the heart explodes.
Claire,
in a pretty cool cutscene, but it's fairly hard to pull off because you need to make quite an accurate shot, and then it's also misty as well. He's moving around a lot. It's quite hard to pull off. Especially, I mean, obviously, if you just save and load it a bunch of times, then you can do it. But not on a run like this. So you just get further enough away. You take your 10 flame rounds. And that will do a bunch of damage. You can tell it's hitting him because you got that hissing sound. So this is the thing with the sniper rifle. You need to be close enough to actually be able to see. Did I get poisoned there? No, I did not. Okay, that's good. But if you need to be close enough to be able to see through the scope, but that also means you are close enough to get hit by the poison clouds, so you have to try to balance it very carefully. Again, you're trying to aim here for this exposed heart. Not a very good design for a monster, I don't think, but well, not very practical anyway. I mean, it looks pretty cool, it's not very practical. I'm going to try and just soften them up a little bit with handgun bullets here to try and get the final shot. And no, he's done too much damage, he's dead. Oh, well. Never mind. On the plus side, it did not get poisoned, so that's good. And that is pretty much the end of the game with Claire, and now we switch to Chris. Herb on the floor here, so let's not forget it. This is all Chris starts with, because basically in the cutscene which we just missed, as he's climbing up the rock face, he drops his pack with all his equipment in it. So this is all he's left with, just what he immediately has on him. You notice that we ran into Rodrigo there as well. So you see him there because Claire gave him the medicine earlier on. If you didn't give him the medicine, he would not be there. None of that seemed to happen, but because Claire left in the handgun ammo, now we have plenty of ammo to go and kill the worm. As I said, you could have done it the other way around, where you could have given Claire the handgun ammo and then left the flame rounds for Chris, which makes this boss fight very quick, because the worm is very weak to these flame rounds, the bowgun flame rounds. But not a big deal. The boss is not particularly difficult. You just kind of run around the room, wait for him to sprout up, shoot him 4 times, and then just rinse and repeat. So we'll do that little thing where he kind of does a non-telegraphed dive out of the ground sometimes. And if he does that, there's, well, not really what you can do about it. You just have to tank it through. We've got plenty of health, so it's not a big deal. If you stay around the edge of the room, you can generally avoid it. You just keep running. So you're now back on the island. You're now back on the prison island here, which is where. So in the story, basically you arrive, and as soon as you arrive, Rodrigo tells you, oh, you know, she's already left. So as soon as you're here, you now just spend your entire time trying to get back off the island. I guess you can't climb back down that cliff for whatever reason, and take the boat, but never mind. And this boss fight is actually optional. In a regular playthrough, you can actually just leave. But what this does do is when you kill this boss, it will. So basically, it's swallowed Rodrigo at this point. So what you're going to do is shoot the worm, and then it will do that. It will drop his body, and then he will give you back his. He'll give you back your lighter just before he dies. And what that will do is that will unlock a couple of things. So the most immediate thing that it unlocks is that it will unlock their submachine guns similar to the ones that Steve has, the M11s. But again, it's a percentage gun, so you could use it as running. As you can see, this boss does take a lot of bullets, but not taking a huge amount of damage either, so it's just about time. I think he should be very nearly dead now. There we go. So now we have our lighter back. We skipped a touching cutscene there. But no, it's over. Now we have the lighter. I'm just going to use this for fun. Just for fun. I'm not going to actually pick up these guns because again, using them would invalidate the run. So, which wouldn't be great at the hour-and-a-half mark. So. Dump off these extra herbs, and we'll pick up the grenade gun now, which Claire nicely left us, which is good. So when you come back to this island, it's now instead of bandersnatches, you now have to deal with hunters instead. So the acid rounds are very handy with dealing with them. So we're going to take the grenade gun with acid rounds. Just run over Rodrigo's body there, you know. And then we're going to activate this lift, and then this lift will take us to this room we came through with Claire, the room we were in immediately after the cutscene. Immediately after the Steve Zombie Dad cutscene, which just takes us to this room. We'll kill this zombie because he's in the way. There's 2 more in this room, but we can just ignore those. So there's a little lift there which will take you to the 2nd floor, but we need a battery before we can do that. Come out to this courtyard. You'll notice that we can't get through there to the worm courtyard here. It's been blocked off. So in one of the cutscenes we saw earlier on, well, one of the skip cutscenes, you see this bit where Alfred comes, presses this secret button on this tank to reveal this hidden pathway, and at the bottom of the hidden pathway is a gold halberd door, which beside it is a fighter jet. which is how Alfred was able to get to the Antarctic base. Well, the good news is there's not one but 2 fighter jets apparently, and so we're going to go and grab the second one and use it to fly to Antarctica. So to do that, we're going to have to unlock that door, and we're going to have to get the gold halberd. So in order to get the gold halberd, we're going to have to go through a certain amount of faffing around. There's actually 3 items in this. Again, it's usually very hard to see this without equipping the lighter, but there's 3 items in that corner there. We'll go into this save room here, pick up more acid rounds. Just pick up the stuff in this room. So in order to get the golden halberd, we need to get one of those eagle plates. So if you remember, there was 2. Now the prison is locked off, so the only one we can get is the one where we inserted where we retrieved the indigo card. So we need to go get that plate, and then we need to apply a chemical to the plate, which will dissolve the blue part of the plate away and just leave us with just the golden halberd. And when we do that, that will unlock the room to let us exit the island. So needless to say, there is going to be a bit of stuff to do before we can do that. So the chemical is split into 2 different places. One is in a chemical room behind a puzzle, and then the other one is just in the it's just on the shelf in the weapons maintenance room. And to get to that room, there's a bit of a faff involved, so that's what we're going to go do now. Well, I'll go get the chemical first. So now we have the battery, so we can now unlock the 2nd floor of the lab, which is where we're going to go now. These zombies generally don't give you much trouble, so it's safe to ignore them. We'll put the battery in here, and this will activate the lift. So we've got this lift here. Now on the left-hand side here is a little desk, and inside that desk is on top of the desk is a document and a key, which explains how the chemical will. This just explains how using the chemical on the blue plate will dissolve it, and how to make that chemical, which is what we're going to do now. So we're going to come to this. We're going to come into this room. If we picked up all the items, there's nothing in here. So we want to go get the indigo plate. As you can see, however, there has been I'm not sure what exactly has happened there. It's been hit by a bomb or something, I'm not sure. Anyway, so that part of the balcony has now been destroyed, and the plate is now gone. So what we're now going to do is try to go down to the basement and try to retrieve the plate. However, retrieving the plate is no simple task, needless to say. So first of all, when we come down to this area, you'll notice that the stairs are down. You cannot go straight ahead to the weapons maintenance room because there is poison gas in that area now, which we will need to deal with before moving on. Some explosive rounds here on the shelf, which are quite easy to miss. Fire rounds, not explosive rounds. And we're going to come through this lab here. And we're going to go and get the first of the 2 chemicals. Oh, there is a... So the door, we need a doorknob there, which we need to proceed. But before we get that, we're going to go and pick up the first of the 2 chemicals. Some shotgun shells here. You'll notice that we started picking up shotgun shells here because there is a shotgun. Obviously increases part of the game, which is nice. So here's the first chemical here. I can't actually remember how you are supposed to solve this. I mean, obviously, if you know what it is, you can just stick it in. Stick the number in. I think it's like maybe a little bit further on in the game, further on in this level somewhere. I think there's like a painting on the wall, and then that tells you. So basically, it's the one of the files mentions that the temperature is coincidentally the same as the founding date of this facility. And then I think in one of the corridors somewhere, it's got a painting of the founding of the facility, and that's how you solve the puzzle. And you also save yourself a poison hunter fight as well, because if you do it legit, when you come back into that room, the poison hunter jumps out. And this is where the hunters come back into the game, and requires not 1 but 3 cutscenes to introduce the hunters. Those hunters despawn immediately after you leave the room, so just do whatever you can to get past them. They do have quite a nasty, same as the original game. They do have a quite nasty jumping attack, which can take a lot of damage if you get hit by it. Oh, so the shotgun is on the wall there, but if you take it, then those stairs will go up, and then you won't be able to come up the stairs. So it's like kind of a loop type of thing, which you need to go through in a specific order in order to unlock. So now that we have the doorknob, we can now come over to this corridor here. So this is the gimmick of this stage as well, is that you now have these little hunter sensors, hunter traps. So basically if you walk into the light beam, then it will set off a trap and a hunter will spawn in this room. And they will infinitely respawn as well every time you come through, so it's not like you just set off the trap once and it's gone, it will keep coming back. So, with the doorknob, we can now go into this door. There are some handgun bullets hidden behind this pillar, which we're going to pick up, even though we have way more handgun bullets than we possibly ever need. We'll just pick them up anyway, since we're here. And we're going to take the tank piece of the diorama. So now that we have that, we're going to head back to the diorama room. The lift is still functioning, so should have no issues accessing that room. We don't have to come back here, so it doesn't really matter. But if you set that hunter trap off, but it's easy enough to avoid. So we come back down here. So you can't go down those stairs down to the other grate because the floor has been destroyed, so you can't get across that little courtyard. So we have our tank diorama. So now we're going to go down to the diorama room. There's another hunter trap in this corridor, so we just have to be careful to avoid it. Okay. So we're going to put the tank piece in the diorama, and what that will do, that will reveal a hidden painting. Well, the painting will move to reveal a hidden thingy. And here there is a turntable key and another file. So the turntable key will is used in that room where we picked up the doorknob. So we just need to go back there, and that'll be the last time we need to go through that loop, which is why we can take the shotgun with us at this point and raise those stairs, because we'll do a big old loop around and then come back to this up to this gantry up here. So when you pick up this shotgun, that will then raise these stairs up, which means that the area under the stairs is now accessible, because you certainly can't climb up that 5-foot fence. No, absolutely not. So there's 2 red herbs here, and then there's a ladder behind us. That ladder is a shortcut back to the to the corridor with the save room. You can't actually access it the first time because the hatch goes up, and then when you go through the hatch, you can't actually come back. You can't go down it the first time. You need to come up through that hatch one time to unlock it. We've got a full inventory here, so I'm just going to get rid of some of this stuff. As you can see, we've got plenty of heals here. Just store some of this stuff. So we have 1/2 of the chemical, so we still need the plate, and then we still need the eagle plate, and then we still need the second chemical. But now we have the turntable key. It should make that easier. So again, we have the shotgun now, and we're just going to take it with us because we don't have to come back through this area anymore. Worst case, if we did need to come through here again, we could go the long way around, come back through the surface, down the lift, and then through the hatch again. Or come the reverse way and put the shotgun back. So there's a little rescue cutscene here in this Bandersnatch. I think that's the only time you actually see a Bandersnatch is Chris. The rest of the time you're dealing with hunters. But you don't need to fight it, you can just run right past it. Although it does go down fairly easily with the shotguns. Now with the turntable key we can come up this lift. There is some gunpowder there to make some more flame arrows. It's very difficult to pick up those rounds. I don't know, you need to do something specific with the crates. Anyway, you don't need them anyway, so just ignore it. So we're now going to come back through here because we're going to go and pick up the plate now. There's no point killing these hunters because they will respawn on your way back as poison hunters, no less. Now that I think about it, we probably didn't need to go back to the save room storage crate because we can just use this one here. I'll make enough for next time. So, so now we are going to go and pick up the plate. So there is a mini boss fight here, but it's not a big deal. But well, before we actually do that, we actually need to go and. Oh no, that's right. No, we're getting the. We need to pick up the seals now. So hunters will generally go down with a single acid round. If they don't, 3 or 4 additional handgun rounds will take them out. Oh, that's right. So in order to go for the mini boss fight and pick up the plate, we need to go get the seals first. So in order to get the seals, we need to come. So this is the area back, if you remember, with Claire, where we inserted the seals in order to take the lift down to the plane. So we need to get back to that area. So the handle for the bridge lift is there, but it doesn't work at the moment because we need to come and solve this liquid puzzle here. So the idea is you need to insert exactly 7 units of fluid into this receptacle here, but the single one is done, so you just need a quick puzzle. There's maybe a more efficient way of doing it, but this puzzle, but this is how I always remember it. So it's just 4 times into 3, which will give you a 2 remainder, plus 5, to give you 7 units there. And now you can go use the bridge. These zombies from before will now stand up, which means you can now go, and they are hiding 7 shotgun shells, so you can use 2 shotgun shells here to get 7 back, so that was a good investment. Maybe could have got away with not shooting that second one, but again, we've got tons of ammo at this point, so might as well use it. So now that the bridge is down, we can now go back along and access the area where the seals are kept. There's a hunter on this bridge here, so give him a couple of shots and then finish him with an acid round. Going to come through here. There's some zombies in this area, but they're generally fairly easy to avoid. And just run right past them. It's a matter of interest, if you try to go back to the submarine to access that area, it won't let you. So just shoot that hunter in the back with an acid round. Usually kills it. On a run I was doing not so long ago, the first round didn't actually kill it, so I thought I would be clever and finish it off with handgun bullets, but it still had enough time to turn around and jump at me and take almost all my health. So I would personally just, if the first round doesn't kill it, just use a second one. Because you would think it wouldn't be possible, but I can very much confirm it is. That zombie just grabbed me. Oh yeah, so there is you will see actually there's a white thing on the back of the zombie there. So that's a gimmick that's only used very briefly in this part of the stage. Some of the zombies have like an explosive pack stuck to them, and if you shoot that with a handgun bullet, then they'll just explode, which is nice because it has good splash damage as well. But so it's a very rarely used gimmick. So we're going to take a blue herb here because when we come back up here, those hunters I mentioned have now respawned into poison hunters, which are these like kind of purple hunters. So basically they're just like hunters, except if they slash you, they can poison you. Oh, that's the jumping attack. Did that poison me? Oh, no, actually did not. Okay, cool. That's kind of rare. I don't know, there's about a 50-50 chance of getting poisoned if you get hit by one of their attacks. So we're going to come back into this room, which was optional for Claire. But not Chris. This is the way out that we need to take. So you pick up these shotgun shells, shoot anything that's in the way. come back down through this corridor. And we're now at this point, so again we couldn't get through here because the floor has been destroyed. So after a big long way around, we can now get down here, and this is the switch where to set off the ventilation. So we can actually come down here and use the gas. Shoot a zombie. 2 shotgun shells. I don't think like the headshot critical thing works at that particular angle, annoyingly enough. We can flip this switch and now get down into this area because the gas is now ventilated. So we're going to come through here, and there's actually a hunter as soon as you walk through this door, so you probably want to go and grab your acid rounds. Ooh, 1 hit, very nice. Again, it's complete RNG if the hunters die to 1 hit or not. I'm just going to use that blue herb since I need it to make some space, and I'm going to take these acid rounds now. Now that I think about it, I probably could have just picked them up as Claire the first time through, but never mind. So this is the second chemical we need. And we will combine these 2 chemicals to make the magic chemical, and then the magic chemical we can now use on the eagle plate to get the halberd, but we need to go and get the eagle plate first. So this place here we can improve our handgun for Chris, which is a very cool handgun, which does penetration damage and also just regular extra damage as well. It's very nice, but you basically will never have to use it again for the whole of the game, so which is a bit sad. Oh well. I mean, you basically just don't need to use the handgun at all for the rest of the game, I wouldn't have thought. I mean, if you're desperate to save your shotgun shells, you can. But again, I mean, you'd have to be pretty desperate if you're using the shotgun on the final boss. You would have to not pick up the magnum and not have the grenade gun for some reason. Maybe you've dropped it on Claire, or you've used up all the rounds, or you didn't pick up any rounds. So you can just use your mini shotgun shells generally here on all the zombies that you'll see. So we're going to stick in these 3 plates here, and this will reveal the secret passage, which will take us down to the secret swimming pool. I'm not going to go back and read that file and try to determine what exactly is so special about this secret passage, because as far as I know, there's actually 2 sets of shotgun shells here. But we already have so many. I don't need to pick them up. But there's actually more shotgun shells there if you want to pick them up. We're going to come to this corridor with more spiders. There are some explosive grenade gun rounds here and another herb. Again, they are very generous in the second half of the game with herbs and whatnot. So, and these spiders are very easy to avoid. Even if they do poison you, there is a blue herb down in this corridor, so you don't need to worry about it. Obviously, you want to save the blue herb for on the way back, in case you get poisoned on the way back. It's quite hard to see, but there's actually 3 herbs in this corridor here. Need to make some more space, so I'm just going to combine those 2 to pick up the 3rd herb. And going to go for pretty lame boss fight. Like a lot of these boss fights in Veronica, the vast majority of the time you can just run past and ignore them. This one is completely optional, and it's also incredibly time-consuming to try and kill this thing. Basically, if you get in the water, it can electrocute you and do quite a bit of damage as well, actually. So I guess the strategy is supposed to be you just hang around the edge of the pool, and then when it gets close, you shoot it. You spend a lot of time doing that, or you can just run into the middle of the pool and pick up the fight. You can see that you need to be good with the timing, otherwise you can get zapped there. So you can see that did put me down to caution. I'll wait till I'm on the other side of these spiders before I heal, just in case I get poisoned. Which I didn't. That's fine, so I can go ahead and use that blue-green combo to get myself out of caution. That did not get me out of caution. I should have just used the double green. Oh well, never mind. So now we have the plate. which means we can now exit the area, because we can now combine the chemical with the plate to get the golden halberd. So we just need to retrace our steps here and go back down the lift. Back through the courtyard, and then down the little hidden passage, and we are done. So again, these spiders are very easy to avoid, so... And we should have plenty of blue herbs in storage, so not a big deal. Do we need to go back to the save room? I don't think we do. I think we have everything we need. So immediately after this... so basically we use the golden halberd here. Then we access to another fighter jet. I'm not sure how Chris knows how to fight. I mean, so Chris is 25 at this... age 25 at this point of the game. And he was already in Stars for several years, so I'm not sure where he learned to fly fighter jets, but never mind. So there is a fairly heavy ammo check here. I'm not actually sure what happens if you don't have enough ammo to get, because you can't get past these things as far as I'm aware. You have to shoot it until they disappear. So I don't know what happens if you don't have enough ammo to get past this. Maybe you have to reload a save, or I guess you can't save it at this point, so maybe you'd have to reload a save. I don't know, it seems kind of silly. Oh well, never mind. Have never tried it, and do not intend to. So we're going to go back to the bunk room because there's some explosive rounds in here now. Sometimes zombies in here, and sometimes there isn't. I don't know. Maybe if you come on the way back from the save room, there's zombies. I'm not sure. So if you forgot to pick up that file on the table as Claire, you can pick it up now as Chris. Likewise for this one in this study here on top of the cabinet, but we picked them both up first time, so big deal. Use the halberd here, and this will unlock the biohazard dice. Oh, paperweight. Sorry. Oh, kind of like a dice. And there's a file there, and also an ink ribbon. Pick that up. Take another green herb here and get ourselves out of caution. Again, no shortage of green herbs here. But we'll also take one with us as well. Dump off these explosive rounds, we don't need those. See, no shortage of explosive rounds there. Do take the handgun ammo with us, even though we really don't need to. Could have just ditched them, really. But this handgun's so cool, I want to use it more, but I mean, it's just shotgun's way better. Oh, so because Claire is not poisoned, we want to go back for the fire extinguisher now. So if Claire was poisoned, you don't take the fire extinguisher with you now because you need to. So the room where you use the fire extinguisher is where you go and pick up the serum for Claire's poison. So if she is poisoned, then there's another storage room in between there and here, so you can pick up the fire extinguisher from that room and then take it down and pick up the magnum at the same time as the serum. I mean, again, you're not saving a huge amount of time. It's like a minute or something, not even. So I'm not sure how much time is supposed to have passed in between Claire arriving and Chris arriving. But as you can see, this area is now all iced up. And you can now access the second floor of the mining room. Zombies actually managed to get up to like 50 centimeters of ice, so that's strong. But you only need to shoot one of them in order to get out of this room. And it's that one. So the point of coming back here was we need to pick up the valve handle again. Our very favourite valve handle. And then we're going to come back over to this machine room here. And you'll see that the cage is now open, and these zombies have now escaped. This room is actually optional. You don't really need to come in here. But what you do is you'll pick up the briefcase, and the briefcase has the so the briefcase has 6 magnum rounds in it. You can't open it as Chris, but you will very briefly switch back to Claire later on in the game. And at that point, you need to remember to take the suitcase out of storage and unlock it, and then put it back so Chris can use the bullets later on. You will see here that in this cutscene, you'll see that the hunter traps are back. I'm not sure if it's actually even possible to avoid that one if you turn around very quickly. But not a big deal because we've got our acid grenade gun with us. So we're going to press this switch here, and we're going to raise up this. So you can't, as mentioned, you can't actually use the fire extinguisher until you recharge it with this barrel of extinguishant here, which is what we're going to do. Our inventory is full, but we will get a slot back when we use the fire extinguisher in a second because its usage will then be done. So we do need to come back into this room later on at some point to pick up the crane key. However, we don't. However, we the valve handle is the wrong shape, so it's we need the 4-valve. We need to go back to a 4-valve crank, but of course we've already machined this valve handle into an 8-sided one, so we'll need to do we'll need to pick up a special item to convert it back to a 4-sided crank. This is completely optional, but since we're already over here, so we'll just do it for funsies. So we're going to go to use this. So basically, you can only do this part as with the lighter, and that will blow open this, and it will give you 45 handgun bullets, which are completely unnecessary, but just pick them up because why not? Because it's nice to have. It's nice to get that. You know, go into that final boss, and you've just got like absolutely piles and piles of health and ammo. Feels good, man. So we're going to do that. This room is now done. Again, there is an AK-47 in that locker there, but you can't use it because it's a percentage gun. So we're just going to run right by and ignore it. So because Claire is not poisoned, we don't need to come back to that area anymore. We will need to come back into that room as discussed to go and pick up the crane key. But that's fine because we need to come down this corridor anyway. So the crane key is in that ice room. So you use the crane key in that ice room we came through to begin with. So do need to go back to that area. Anyway. So in that splashing you can hear is a poison hunter coming for you. I'm very lucky with the one-hit acid round kills today, so I'm happy with that. Normally you'd have to shoot it and then run back to the end of the corridor and try and finish it off with handgun bullets. So there are 7 zombies in this corridor. Count them. There was 4 here on this first corner, and then 3 around the corner. There you go. Yeah, it's a little bit too far. Knocked them all down. So we'll just shoot them down here. So you can't actually get through that door yet because the power is off, because it's an electric door, so we need to go turn the power on, which is what we'll do now. In this conveniently located power room over here. So we use the crank here, so this does need an 8-sided crank, so you wouldn't be able to do that. So you would need the adapter. But both before and after. So that has now gone and put that pin down to the machine, which means we can now turn on the power. I'm just going to sort the inventory out. We definitely need to take the paperweight with us. We want to take the valve handle because we're going to use the adapter on it right away anyway. We do not need the handgun, I think. Because we've got plenty of shotgun shells. There's no hunters down there, so we won't take that either. We'll take the grenade gun. Whatever. There's plenty more handgun bullets. We've got this inventory space. So we'll just pick these up. There's also a couple of herbs on that back wall there. But I think we're fine, generally fine on the herb front anyway. So we'll just maybe we'll come back for those later. There's more herbs on the ground there. Just go in here, some handgun bullets and some shotgun shells. We'll just grab these. So there is a door. So off screen to the below screen, there is a door that needs a biohazard key or like cleanliness room key or whatever the heck it's called. But you can't. But we don't have that key yet. We'll get it in a little bit. So this is a tiger with 2 gems in its eyes. Throwback, obviously, to the puzzle in the first game. But the gems are already in place here, so you take them out one by one to get the items beside them. We do actually need to come back and get both of these gems later on. But in order to do that, we'll need to cut the power so the machine, so the head doesn't move after you've taken one of the jewels out. And to cut the power, we need to go back to the room we were in before, but we can't actually get through yet because we don't have the biohazard key. But we will. So now we can use the adapter on the crank. So now I've turned it back from a 8-sided crank back into a 4-sided crank valve handle, which means we can then go and use it in that room where the fire extinguishant was, and then get the crane key. Just come down to this area here. So we need to pick this up here. So this is a dragonfly wing. Mentioned in like the first half of the game, we picked up a jeweled dragonfly, and we're actually going to need to recreate it because it's the key to the very last section of the game. This room is completely optional, but there's a file in it, so I'm just going to come and pick it up so I can get my 100% file completion. There's some herbs on the floor there, and there's also some more handgun ammo in the next room, but you'll have to fight through a few zombies to get it. There's a lot of these weird insects crawling around on the floor here. So you'll have to get through these insects first. They do very little damage, they're just annoying more than anything else. And there's plenty of herbs lying around, so there's one file here on this console which is quite easy to miss, so we'll go and grab that. And then we're going to... there's a little puzzle here, so you just use the paperweight dice thing to just look at the code on the reverse side of it. So if you know what it is, if you know what it is, you can just go ahead and use it straight away. So, can't remember what it was. I think it's a AA crown heart spade. So I guess Alexia had stuffed the dead Alfred in this preservation tube, but I guess he ain't getting preserved no more thanks to Chris there, so thanks for that. Thanks, buddy. No preservation for you. Well, the whole base gets destroyed anyway. Towards the end of the game. Spoilers! Biohazard. The end. Whole area gets destroyed in a self-destruct mechanism. Yeah, I know. Completely out of character for a Resident Evil game. I know. Spoilers, so there you go. But anyway, so now we have... So the in order to get out of this area, we need 3 family jewels. Family jewels. So one dropped by each of the family member. So as discussed, so that's the one from Alfred. We'll need Alexia's jewel at some point, and then we'll also need the father, I think it's Alexander's jewel. Which, as discussed, is also Nosferatu, the Nosferatu boss. So in order to get access to him, we need to go and use the crane key because someone's going to put him on a crane for some reason. I'm not sure why they did that. Maybe they're trying to preserve him in the ice or something? I don't know. Do not try to question the logic of a Resident Evil game. So we're now going to come back through this area here. Because now we have the four-sided valve handle. Which means we can now finally access this crane key. So, and finally we can get rid of this stupid valve handle, which is the last time we have to use it. We've been through a lot of valve handle, but I think it's time to part ways. So this pool now drains, and then the key's at the bottom of it. As soon as you pick it up, a poison hunter jumps through the glass and tries to get you. Do not try to do anything fancy. Not try to do anything fancy, just shoot it with a shotgun. Because if you try and just run up back the ladder, it will jump back through the glass and try to get you. So we'll just come down this lift here. And come through this door to finally use the crane key.
Who could have done that?
That will spawn the giant spider. Typically, you can like just pause for just a second in that corner to bait him into taking a swipe at you, which should give you plenty of time to come around here and pick up Alexander's jewel. But generally, the spider is fairly slow and easy to avoid, so not a problem. So now we have 2 of the 3 jewels, and we'll go and pick up the 3rd one very shortly after a boss fight or 2. So now we're going to go and rescue Claire. But before that we're going to go and pick up 2 more dragonfly wings. Which are here and here. So we need a body part and then 4 wings in order to recreate the dragonfly. If you are very organised, you will remember to bring your combat knife to the section. But if you forgot, like I just did, then you can just come upstairs and grab this one. Can never have enough combat knives. Why there is a random combat knife sitting around up there, but we'll never know. But there we go. So we're going to need the Magnum immediately after we regain control of Chris here. So we're going to equip this, and then we're going to use the combat knife. You can actually equip it and then just press action button on this section here, but instead we'll do it this way. So that means that the Magnum will be equipped when we finally get back, take control. No, not that it really matters. But
Claire.
So now Claire and Chris finally reunite. So if Claire is poisoned, you will need to go back and pick up the serum before you see this cutscene.
But we have to.
And again, that's why if she's poisoned, you need to go back to the room with the Magnum in it. So that's why you would go and take the fire extinguisher at this point.
He's a boy who escaped from that island with me.
Then you would recharge it, go down the lift, put out the fire, pick up the Magnum and the serum off the shelf, and then come back here.
I'm sure of it.
In one smooth, non-backtracking action.
It's Alexia.
So again, you don't really lose a huge amount of time, even if Claire does get poisoned.
Alexia?
Just changes up the order a little bit.
It is almost time, you genetically inferior siblings.
After her. She might know where Steve is.
Let's go.
Oh, and then weird tentacle monster shows up. I'm not sure it's adequately explained what this giant tentacle monster is, but I don't know. Maybe it's in a file somewhere. I should read that. Anyways, we get control of Claire, and then we pick up our herbs here. So crucially, there is no save. There's no typewriter in this room, and the reason they do that is because immediately after you finish this section as Claire, you will regain control as Chris and land into a boss fight. So if you are suitably not armed up for that boss fight, it will be, well, I guess it's not impossible, but near impossible to actually beat the boss fight with Chris. I mean, you will have the combat knife at a minimum, but and it is possible to actually beat that boss with a combat knife, but it's incredibly difficult because if she gets close enough to you, then you will instantly die. So not the easiest to beat with a combat knife. I mean, it is possible, but take a lot of goes, and certainly not an hour into your playthrough, an hour into your unsaved playthrough, which in conclusion is why you cannot save this game as clear. So we're taking 3 heals with us here. Oh, and we're also going to remember to unlock the briefcase with the magnum rounds. Yes, remember to do that. Very nearly forgot there. This will make the last boss fight a lot easier. There's 6 bullets. Very few overall magnum ammo in this game. I think only 18 bullets in the whole game as far as I'm aware. So Chris needs to come back through here, so we'll take out this tentacle for him. Save him the effort. There's a door there, but it's locked from the other side. We can't get through it. Now we're going to take 3 heals with us here. Now, in theory, if you're lucky, you have to use 0 of these 3 heals, but there's a nasty encounter coming up here where you get chased by Monster Steve down a corridor, and he's got this big axe, and he does a lot of damage. He can actually kill you very, very quickly. I think he can kill you from like yellow caution. So you need to take a lot of heals down this here, and then nothing else because that's the end of the game for Claire. So I guess in theory, you know, if you go on the internet or something, you'll see people complaining about, oh, I soft-locked my game because I gave Claire all my fancy weapons, and then I switched back to Chris and saved it, and now I don't have my magnum or my grenade gun, blah blah blah. Which, I mean, I guess which is vaguely possible, but if you happen to give all of Claire your best weapons and then switch to Claire and then switch to Chris and then overwrite your saves, then I guess this is a little bit weird mechanic here. You're going to tilt this cannon, and inside there's a glass ball. The security card is inside a glass ball for some strange reason, so you just put the glass ball down there, have it squashed, and then go pick up the card. And that thing can actually quite easily insta-kill you, so have to be careful with the timing there. And then we're going to use the card here. So in theory, what you're supposed to do here is just slightly dodge to the right. So he will swing his axe at you, then run behind him. So you'll try to swing your axe behind him, and then after that you can make a straight run to the door. But here, I guess I waited too much time because he hits you with that second. So if he hits you with the second axe swing there, then you are now slow and you're going to get hit over and over again. So I'm going to use another heal there. As it happened, I probably could have got by with just 1 heal there, but it would have been very close. So that's why you just take those 3 heals of insurance. This is the boss I'm talking about. If she touches you, you instantly die. So you need to make sure you put some distance between you and her. The good news is she only takes 5 magnum rounds and she dies, which is one of the reasons why you definitely want to bring the magnum to this fight. Well, unlock it in the first place, you know, even though the magnum is obviously an optional. See, the magnum is a completely optional weapon, but I certainly recommend taking it with you. So, so after that, so after you've downed Alexia for the first time, she will now drop her red jewel. And this is almost the last puzzle in the game. We just need to put the dragonfly together, and we are done. So, those 3 jewels unlock this door. This corridor is full of zombos, so go check them. Turns out Alexia's not dead. I'm back for more, surely. So, full of zombos. So make sure not to get bitten by any of these. I mean, not that it matters. I mean, this corridor is like has a bunch of green herbs in it, even if you did get bitten. So there's nothing really of interest in this room. This is the one save point here, so in theory, yes, as you could in theory softlock your game if you gave all of your weapons to Claire and then came back to here. This room is Chris and then saved it and overwrote your save, I suppose. But I've never really heard it happening in real life, just internet nonsense. So that the only thing within that office was the biohazard key, so we're going to use this key and we're going to use it to turn off the power and then make a loop back around to get to the tiger statue and take out both the gems, because we need both of those gems, because there is another jeweled insect puzzle about to come up. The good news is they're a lot easier to get this time around than last time, so all we do is cut the power, then make a loop back around, back through the garden, and then back through the biohazard door, because now the power is off, which is why you can't get through that door, because that's an electric door. The power is now off, so we can pick up both of these gems without the statue moving. And this is all we need to complete the jeweled insect puzzle, which is about to come up. As you will see, there is an exact replica of the upper mansion rooms in the section we're about to go in. Now the zombies all respawn in this corridor, so you need to remember not to get bitten by the zombie. Yes, yeah. A lot of zombies in this room. But there's also 2 heals immediately by this door there, so if you are put down into caution, you can use those. As you can see, this is exact replica of the other room. On the plus side, we can now use the hidden door in the middle, so we don't need to walk all the way around. And the puzzle's exactly the same as before. So we're going to take the music box plate, take to the other side. There is no file in the room this time, so you're not missing anything. Put the music plate in, and then that will lower the ladder exactly the same as before. Although the top room is different in this particular thing. It's like a fancy conference room instead. And the only thing to pick up is the body of the jeweled insect. The body of the dragonfly. But we still need one more wing before we can put it together. There are also some handgun bullets in that fancy conference room, but I think we are well past the need for handgun bullets. I don't even know why I have it in my inventory if it's just dumb. Use that. I did not mean to use that. Whoops. Oh well, never mind. I was supposed to combine that into 3 greens. Oh. So, now back down this corridor here. And this area of the game is also now done. Take a file off this chair here, and that is the last file in the game. I think that's the last file. Which we get a file from. We get Claire gives us a file in a minute, but I can't remember if it's actually a file or just a method of giving you the key, the security key. So that's the final dragonfly wing there. We've combined that to make a functional dragonfly. So this is the door we unlocked since Claire went and cleared that tentacle for us. That is now, this area is now clear. It's one final puzzle here. Completely unnecessary at this point, but you just hang the shotgun on this wall and access some grenade gun rounds here. And at this point, this is the final piece of preparation before the end boss. Now the end boss is fairly RNG-tastic. So basically, so there's the main boss, and it's just a big blob that sits there, and you just have to shoot as much as you can. However, it has lots of these little, these small infected, like kind of mini monsters with like kind of these whip tentacle things. So and basically, if you get surrounded by things, they'll just whip you over and over and over again, and you'll just be constantly sunlocked over and over again. So and they can also poison you as well. So which is why I'm making grey herbs here. So then we just sort of need to decide what we're going to take with you. Obviously, you want to take the Magnum and all your rounds. We won't take the shotgun, so we're going to dump those shotgun shells. Let's just leave the shotgun in the wall. Just checking if there was another blue herb in this room, but I guess there wasn't. Well, never mind. So I just want to take as many heals with us as possible. I mean, in theory, you could go put the dragonfly in its place and then come back and get one additional spot. But I mean, this is already crazy overkill. Just being overly cautious here because this is the first time in a while I've got this far in without crashing, so I really don't want to have to lose this run if I can help it. So obviously I have lots of grenade gun rounds. I've got the shotgun, I'm just going to leave it there actually. But just remember, actually, you actually need one more additional slot because you need to receive a card key from Claire as soon as you go through this next room. So you need to ditch one set of those grenade gun rounds. I have more flame rounds, so I will ditch the acid rounds. And that is it. This is our final run to the boss fight. So we go in here, and then Claire passes you that file. And inside the file is a card key. Yeah, I think it just gives you the card key. There's not actually an actual file in there. We should have all of the files at this point. We'll make a quick check before the very end of the game. So we're going to use our dragonfly. Then we're going to come through here. There's a couple of zombies in this room. Or you need to have like some sort of weapon in order to take out the zombies. And that did, using the dragonfly, did free up space. We give one more herb, yeah. Then we're going to use a security card and do the final puzzle where we need to put in the code. And the code is Veronica, last time I checked. What's the name of the game again? Yes, Veronica, yes. Code Veronica. The code is Veronica. Very difficult puzzle. I can imagine just some poor schmuck just sat there going, what's the code? You didn't tell us what the code is. God, jeez. Go on to Game Facts back then and be like, does anyone know what the code is?
Will detonate in 5.
Turns out. Anyway, so that's now set off the self-destruct, of course. So spoilers. Game ends with a self-destruct sequence. So I'm equipping the flame rounds. Do I have all the files? Yes, I do. I'm equipping the flame rounds here because so there is there's like a very small gotcha here where the Alexa will try to grab Claire, and if she actually manages to touch her, then Claire will instantly die, and then that will be game over, and that will be depressing. So you need to shoot her one time. Now, you really don't want to waste a magnum round on this, and the regular grenade gun ammo has very limited range. That's why you want to switch to the something with range there. So I just want to sort of dump all your ammo into this thing as fast as possible. Those are those stupid tentacle thingies that I was talking about. As it happens, I'm fairly lucky here. I haven't been harassed too much. If they push you into this corner, that can be bad. If you can get stuck here, as you can see, and then you can just get hit stunned or whatever. Sucks. This is why the explosive rounds are quite good here, because they have quite a bit of splash damage. I'm going to use that last magnum round. And you want to be going into your inventory fairly frequently just to check your health status, because if you go to orange caution, then you might want to start healing. So I just want to get it nice and close and start throwing explosive rounds at it. Oh, and that's actually it. So that would have taken. So if you didn't have those 6 additional magnum rounds, that would have taken that long. Since we did, yeah, I think it was what, so 13 magnum rounds and then 3 grenade gun rounds. So now we have the infinite rocket launcher, and then we have the most annoying final boss in the franchise, where you have to be done in first person. She flies very, very fast, so it's fairly RNG her movement patterns. So trick is just to aim ever so slightly to one of her sides and then hope that she dodges into it. While she throws fireballs down at you, of course, because you are in first person mode, you can't move, which makes it also difficult for these fireballs that she throws at you. When you see yourself limping, obviously you want to start checking your inventory to make sure you're not an orange caution, which we are not yet, which is good. So we're just going to keep firing away. Fortunately, this thing has infinite rounds, so I'm going to keep firing. I thought I had it there. But still in yellow caution, not a problem. So again, the stress is to fire in her general vicinity. Oh, actually, easy, we got put in danger there, so... I still think that's the first time we went to get danger in the game. Just sort of keep firing into her general vicinity until she dodges into it, and there we go. And that is the end. You may now enjoy the final cutscenes and end credits. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have playing it.
Claire! No!
Fortunately, the emulator is not the most stable in the world, and it took a lot of crashes to actually complete this run. But there's no save states in this emulator either, so when it crashes, you start again. So, yeah, that's the end of the game. GG.
Well done, Chris. It turns out that Alexia's work wasn't much of anything. So now, the only thing left is revenge.
Let her go, Wesker! You don't want her.
Fine.
Claire!
Today's a good day. I came for Alexia, but killing you is even better.
Sorry to disappoint you, but Alexia is gone.
That's no longer a concern to me. I have Steve to work with.
What?
Steve.
In his body, there's still a living T. Alexia virus. Steve should be a good specimen. Maybe he'll come back alive, just as I did, and be able to see your sister again.
You freak!
Don't you touch him!
I'm sorry, dear heart. But my men have already taken him.
You get out of here, Claire.
But what about...
As a surviving member of STARS, I have to finish this.
Remember your promise.
I'll end this once and for all. Say hello to my comrades who you've killed.
I don't know where you get your confidence, Chris.
The self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel evacuate immediately. The self-destruct system has been activated. All personnel evacuate immediately.
Sure, I'm not human anymore. But just look at the power I've gained. magnificent, don't you think? Nice try.
Wesker.
Today's your lucky day. Next time we meet, don't count on another.
Next time.
Until we meet again.
Chris, where are you? Chris!
Hey, you know that I always keep my promises.
Chris, promise me. Please promise that you won't leave me alone again.
I'm sorry, Claire, but it's not over yet. There's still something we've got to do.
You mean...
Yeah, it's payback time. We've got to destroy Umbrella. Now, let's finish this once and for all.